Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome on board. A lumber industrialist, after seeing a man flying for the first time, gets fascinated by aviation and decides to get into it for good. And in 1916, starts his own airplane manufacturing company named Aero Products Company and starts building airplanes. That man was William E. Boeing, and a few years later, the company was renamed as Boeing Airplane Company, forming Boeing Airplane and Transport Corporation. The company got into building commercial airplanes and became one of the leading airplane manufacturers in the world. Until, in the 70s, European airspace industry got into business with the formation of Airbus Industries and made the world's first twin-engine, twin-aisle airplane, the Airbus 300. Later made a little shorter version of it, the Airbus 310. But Airbus skyrocketed in the 80s with their most advanced Airbus 320s, the first fly-by-wire airplane. Although I don't know why they say the first fly-by-wire airplane, because even Concorde had fly-by-wire and it flew in the 1969. Maybe I'm missing something. But anyways, the glorious, epic Boeing-Airbus rivalry was born. And as long as there are rival giants, there'll be millions following one and hating the other. And about me, in one hand, I grew up adoring and falling in love with the Boeing 747, and after getting into aviation professionally, I was lucky to fly the Boeing 737s and now the 787s, and they're both amazing. And after being part of the Boeing family for a decade, I was a lot like this. If it ain't Boeing, I'm not going. Kids fly Airbus, men fly Boeings. Oh, you bunch of Airbus jockeys. Airbus pilots? No, they're not pilots. They're cockpit managers. But after all this while, when I sat down to fly an Airbus in the flight simulator, I realized one thing very clear. I had become a part of the system where I was blindly following what was being told. Yes, there are a lot of difference between both of them. Yes, in Boeing there's a lot of manual authority. Airbus is a bit too sophisticated. Boeing has control columns, Airbus has joystick. Boeing airplanes are made by aviators. Airbuses are made by scientists, or so I've been told. But they're all flying machines, and as long as it flies, it's love. I don't care who manufactured it. Advanced or not, it's still a technological marvel. Just imagine, guys, you're sitting on a chair sipping tea in the sky. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Okay, before I start airline flying in the simulator, I always log into skyvector.com just to check all the airways available. Okay, let's do a short leg, Hyderabad to Mumbai. And okay, that's Hyderabad there. And this is the VFR chart. On the top right, you can choose world high. This is the high level en route chart. And now you can see the airways. Let me just zoom in properly. And there we go. So we can fly, that's Hyderabad. We can fly west, we can take Whiskey 28 airway to the Gulbarga VOR. Thereafter, northwest, Whiskey 28 to Gorep, Lukti, then Pune. And from there, we will decide how to go about to Mumbai. I can go down south to Molgo and then do the Molgo arrival. I found this website. This is the takeoff performance calculation for the Airbus, and to be used in flight simulator only. Although it doesn't have Airbus 320 Neo, but this is Airbus 320. I think should do well. Let me just put in the ICA code for Hyderabad VOHS, and then if you click the METAR button, you get the temperature, QNH and everything. Let's take flaps 2 for takeoff. Packs are on, NTI is off, runway, let's put it wet, it's monsoon these days. And then you can get RTOW, you can put in the actual takeoff weight of the airplane. Let me choose runway 27 left for departure, full runway. You got the heading and you got the TORA, there is takeoff run available for that runway, it's in meters. And then once you put the takeoff weight, actual takeoff weight, you can get the V speeds and all. Alright, we're parked at Bay 51 at Hyderabad National Airport, and this airport I recently downloaded from MSFS2020.com. It's a beautifully made airport. Also, I wanted to mention that the flight dynamics for these 3 Jetliners and Flight Simulator 2020, that is the 320, 787 and 747, the flight dynamics is horrible after the recent update. So let's just jump straight into the cockpit. The state of the cockpit is what we call cold and dark, and it needs electrical power up and just to initialize all the systems. For that, we need to turn the battery switch on first, but before we do that, we need to just confirm a few switches. Like for example, the engine master switch is supposed to be off, engine mode selector at normal, speed brakes retracted, flaps are up, weather radar should be off, landing gear lever should be down, and finally the wipers should be parked. Once we have confirmed all of these, we can turn the battery switch. Let's turn the battery switch on. And battery gives us DC power and we need AC power. For that, we can either use APU or the external power. Here we've got it available. Let's turn it on. Once we've done that, let's turn all the displays on, all the lightings. Okay, so once we've done all that, we can start the APU. But before we can do that, we need to do an APU fire test, which in the simulator is not available. In fact, even the engine fire test you cannot do. So let's assume the fire test has been completed successfully and the ground engineer has given us the clearance to start the APU. So that's the APU master switch. And let's turn the APU master switch on and let's look at the display. Okay, the displays have activated. Now we can start the APU. Turn on APU starter. And let's just monitor. It takes a while to start the APU. APU flap is open. Okay, the APU is located on the tail end of the aircraft, and what it is basically, it's a small jet engine that once on supplies bleed air for the air conditioning and starting the engines and also the electrical power. Okay, let me just fast forward this part. And once the APU is available, we can see the avail light. Let's turn on the APU bleed for air conditioning. Temperature selector knob at the 12 o'clock position, that gives approximately 23 to 24 degrees Celsius in the cabin. Back airflow is in-op. Let me turn on the navigation light on. And I can turn off the external power since APU is not available. Okay, now let's start with the pre-flight instrumentation scan. The scan starts from the overhead. In the overhead, we've got 3 sections. This is section 1, section 2, and there's a third section. And the scan is always bottom to up, left to right. And the idea is to get rid of all the white lights in the overhead. Most of the switches are inoperative. Flight control switches are okay. IRS switches, put it the nav. Now, IRS system is the self-contained system in the aircraft that helps with the navigation. If you wonder how it works, I'll give you an example. Okay, this is my phone right now, and this was when I was in a cab traveling, and I've turned the location service off. If I open the maps, now although my phone has the whole world map available in it, but right now without the location, the phone doesn't know where I am. Let me just zoom in. So the moment I turn the location service on, now my phone's movement has been tracked, and now we know exactly where I am and what direction I'm going. Now if I turn off the mobile data, the movement of my phone is still tracked using the accelerometers in my phone. So it knows which way I'm going with and at what speed. This is exactly how the IRS system works. The aircraft needs to know where it is, and it already has the geographic data stored in it. Okay, moving on. Let's turn on the seat belts, no smoking. Air conditioning panel is okay. Electrical panel is okay. The fuel panel has got white lights. Let's get rid of them. Hydraulic panel looks okay. On the right side, most of the switches don't work. Flight control switches are all fine. And then proceeding from the left, we're doing oxygen mask test. And then this display a little bright. Let me just turn it down. And heading to the mode control panel, let's turn the flight directors on, constraint on. In India, we use the hectopascals, so QNH 1004 is set. Okay, display to VOR. Auto brake set to max, that is in case of reject. Okay, moving down. Okay, TCAS panel, let's put 2000. 2000 means the no squawk code has been assigned. Door pages, okay, the front door is open. Now let's start with the FMC. Leap A1 is the engine. Navigation database is out of date, but it's okay. Let's put from and to, which is VOHS/VAVB, Hyderabad to Mumbai. The moment you put in, if there is any route saved, it'll show up. This one says none. Let's go back, return. And now we've got the latitude and longitude already set using the GPS signals. And we need to confirm it. How do we do that? Every gate has coordinates mentioned. So you just need to cross check. So like here in gate 51, those are the coordinates. We've confirmed it. Now once the IRS system is active, it knows that the aircraft is parked in this position. Cruising flight level, let's put flight level 300, that is 30,000 feet. Cost index, you can put from 0 to 999, any value. Higher the value, faster the airplane goes, but less fuel efficient. And it depends airline to airline. The airline, what they do is they basically study and they come up with a particular cost index. A little technical, let's skip that part. Let's put in cost index 100. Let's go to the next page. Okay, taxi fuel, let me put in 0.4, that is 400 kgs for taxi. And then the trip fuel, I'm not sure. Route reserve, let me put 4.5 tons. So 4.5 as reserve. Okay, these are all just arbitrary numbers, I'm just randomly choosing. Alternate in time, okay. Final fuel, I think we have about 10.6. We'll just check. But 10.6 or 10.6 final. Zero fuel weight and block fuel. Okay, let me put final as 10.1 and block fuel is going to be 10.6. Why 0.1? That is because I'm reducing 400 kgs of taxi. Takeoff weight now 60.8. That is the gross weight we can see. Okay, let's go to flight plan. Now we can see from and to, that is destination. So once you click the from button, we can choose a departure. Okay, we're taking off from runway 27 right, if I'm not wrong. And okay, there are no SIDs available. So let's just put in 27 right. Okay, next thing we can put in the complete route. How do we do that? From runway 27, Let me just try and connect an airway. Let's see how it works. The route was Whiskey 28 to Golf Bravo. That is Gulbarga VOR. Alright, that's direct Golf Bravo. Okay, now let's put in Whiskey 28 after that and see how it goes. Whiskey 28 is not showing. Let me just put in GODEP and see. GODEP. Okay, there it shows. Whiskey 28 to GODEP. Let's continue Whiskey 28 to Papa November. That's Pune. And from Pune, let me go directly to Molgo so that we can do the Molgo to Alpha arrival. So Molgo. Let's insert this part. Let's go down from Molgo. Just choose the arrival directly. Okay, Mumbai arrivals for runway 27, ILS Yankee 27. Let me go down. Molgo to Alpha arrival. Alright, let me just go and check the flight plan, how it looks. From Molgo to Agela, Bidol, Molgo again. Okay, we have to remove a few waypoints in between. Okay, doesn't work. Agela, alright. Yeah, I think now I've got it. Okay, and we got the takeoff page. The V speeds have already been entered. Transition altitude is 7,000 feet for Hyderabad. Acceleration altitude, let me just put in 3,000. Flex temperature, when I checked in that website, it was giving me 61 degrees. So let me just put in 61 degrees. And flaps 2 for departure. I selected speed, that's climb. For cruise, let me take 320 knots. 300 knots for descent. And then you have the approach phase, approach page. We'll fill that later once we get all the weather information of Mumbai. Alright, I think it's we're done with most of the work. Pre-flight procedures are complete. Okay, and once we request for pushback in the simulator, the door closes automatically. And shift P, and there we go. Before we do that, we should actually turn on the beacon lights on. In the meantime, let's start the engines. Engine mode selector to ignition. Engine number 2, master switch on. Let me request pushback steer to the right.
Ground Air India 133 requesting pushback to steer the aircraft.
Oh, I think I should have steered to the left. Anyways, we'll turn the aircraft afterwards. Let's look at the engine parameters. Still spooling up though. let me just stop the pushback. Parking brake set. Now the N1 reaches 19.9. There's this standard parameters given. Okay, let's start engine number 1 now. Got 2 good starts. Let's do the before taxi procedures. Okay, let's turn the APU bleed off. Since now the engines are up and running, they'll provide the air conditioning. And I'm not turning the APU off because for some reason the moment I turn the APU off, in about 3 minutes engine number 1 shuts down. Some glitch in the simulator. Running flaps to 2. Speed brake is already armed. There the slats are coming out, the flaps are coming up. Once the flaps are out, we'll do the flight control check. Ailerons left and right. Elevators up and down. Rudders left and right. It doesn't show up in the page, but it's okay. Let's turn the taxi lights on. And we request for the taxi clearance, and once we get it, we follow the instructions. Okay, let's assume we've got the clearance to enter backtrack runway 27 right. Okay, since we're entering the runway, let's put the strobe lights on and landing lights on. Transponder to TARA. And we turn the weather radar on as well. Oops. The image shown in the ND is highly exaggerated. I mean, compared to what you see outside. This runway has got blue edge like that, and I think it's still been used as a taxiway. I'm not sure, I've never been to Hyderabad, and I think it's a taxiway. So the only active runway should be 27 left. Yep, it looks like that. So let's change the FMC for 27 left departure. Let me do it at the end of the runway. Okay, let's hold the aircraft over here. Strobe lights off, landing lights off. Alright, let's get back flight plan. Hyderabad departure. Let's take runway 27 left. Okay, there are the SIDs available. Let me just insert 27 left, that's it. Let's just move directly to Golf Gold Bravo and see. Alright, runway entering procedures once again, assuming that we've got clearance to enter the runway and take off. Now in Boeing's, the thrust levers, we advance the thrust levers to 40%. We check the engines have stabilized and then we press the toggle switch. But in Airbus, it's a little different. We advance the thrust to 50% once stabilized. What we mean by stabilized is, at 50% thrust, the EGT initially increases and then it reduces back. And here in Airbus, we got these 3 clicks. One says climb, one says flex, one says toga. You have to put the thrust levers to these clicks. So stabilized and click 1, and that's click 2. Alright, airspeed alive. .100 knots checked. In Boeing it's at 80 knots checked. V1 and rotate. Keep positive rate, gear up. Okay, climb thrust now. Alright, we can take flaps 1. Accelerating and flaps up, or flap 0. Oh, whoops, look at the VSI. So like I mentioned before, the aerodynamics or the flight dynamics of these jetliners in this simulator is not that right. It's pretty haywire. And 320 is the least haywire. And this is my favorite part, popping out of the clouds. 7,000 feet transition. Altimeter sets to standard now. Let me turn off the weather radars. I don't like the display. Highly exaggerated. 10,000 feet procedures, landing lights off. And now it's more or less simple. We're on autopilot, climbing to our cruising altitude 30,000 feet. The autopilot will do the rest. Let's just sit back and enjoy the view from the outside. Okay, let's prepare the aircraft for arrival. And since I'm using a live weather in Microsoft Flight Simulator, I can actually search for the current METAR and use that as the weather data. So going ahead, let's go to the perf, and let's go to the approach phase. And I've already taken down the weather details for Mumbai. QNH is 1000, temperature is 27 degrees, winds are 240, 9 knots. Transition level is 55 in Mumbai. The descent height for ILS runway 27 is 230. That's be configuration 3, and let's just make a note of these speeds. Our approach speed is going to be 150 knots, so 145 plus 5. Okay, I've already done my descent, and we're closing by to Mumbai. And the routing, for some reason, was really coming up all hodgepodge and mess. And let me just zoom in and show you. Because there it is. It shows we cross the localizer of runway 27, go ahead and make a teardrop turn, and now that's the finals. So what I'm going to do is I'll directly intercept the finals for runway 27. Okay, we're on finals now. Let me just turn off the weather radar, and that's the terrain display. And as you can see, the flight dynamics, look at the attitude of the aircraft. It's about 10 degrees nose down. And what descent rate I'm getting, it's pretty haywire. Still trying to capture the glide slope. Okay, that's Navi Mumbai now, to my left. Literally have to fight the controls. See, look at that, it's beyond 10 degrees and the descent rate I'm getting is hardly anything. I mean, in real life, with this kind of nose down attitude, the aircraft would be rocketing towards the ground. Okay, we've got ground contact now. I can see the lights, city lights. Let's just head straight to the finals. Okay, there we are. And approach lights in sight. The graphics of this simulator is outstanding. Wait, what? Gear ups. I think I got it up by mistake. Let me just put it down. Caution off. Whoops. And there we go. Descent rate is approximately 1000, and my nose down attitude is about 7.5 degrees. That's horrible. But anyways, here we are now over the runway.
100, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20. Retard.
Touchdown, speed brakes up. And reverse thrust. Let's vacate. Alright, after landing procedures. Turn down the weather radar, turn take gas. Lights off, strobe lights off, taxi light to taxi. And then we turn the AP on, but it is on throughout, so it's okay. Let me just go and park the nearest bay. AP is running, parking brake set, clear to shut down. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks again for flying with your virtual captain. I'll catch you in the next. Adios.